Sea of Legends. Become a pirate on the open waters of the Caribbean. Fire broadside, plunder ships, fight the undead, and maybe break a few hearts. In this light-hearted deck-building RPG, you'll chart your own course to infamy as you climb from scallywag to pirate king. Become the scourge of the seas. Lead your crew to victory with tactical maneuvers and the deadly abilities of your card deck. Make alliances with the crowns of Europe so that you have friendly ports to sell your plunder and taverns to hire crew from. And your crew be a colorful lot, each with unique skills and tales to tell. Pursue their quests to add powerful new cards to your deck. You'll be needing those cards in battles against the soldiers of Europe, denizens of the deep, and those from beyond the grave.
When threats emerge in the universe. When conquerors approach and the danger is high. When you have to face powerful rulers who want nothing less than complete control of the universe. Then you have to come together and work as a team. You have to dig deep, find your resolve, and your courage. You have to understand your enemies and how to stand against them. You have to be bold, decisive, and brave. And you have to be ready to be part of the universe's most legendary defender. Then, when the universe needs you, you can form Voltron, the greatest hope of the universe. Coming to a role-playing game made by Catalyst Game Labs, publisher of acclaimed games including Shadowrun and Cosmic Patrol. Catalyst brings an all-new rule system that emphasizes the teamwork at the heart of Voltron, and also allows for awesome displays of power from the universe's greatest defender. Whether you want to play in the original Defender of the Universe setting or the newer Legendary Defender series, a core book will be available for your preferences to help you explore a galaxy full of adventure. While the core game focuses on the paladins who join together to form Voltron, you can play as other characters such as nobles, cadets, or members of the Blade of Mamora, spinning out galaxy-spanning stories that encounter all manner of planets, creatures, and possible threats. The dice core system, used in Voltron the role-playing game, is easy to learn and use while providing great depth of play. As you roll a pool of 3 dice determined by your skills and attributes, your decisions and circumstances can make those dice better or worse, so what you choose can have an instant impact. Back now and join the fight to defend the universe.
Hi everyone, welcome to another Tuesday Newsday. It's good to see you all here in chat, all 67 of you currently. I've got some really special guests today, so I'm really excited to introduce you guys. I'm Alternis, I'm the Community and Marketing Director for Catalyst, and I've got with me some special guests from Steve Jackson Games. So Devin, Will, welcome, and can you tell me what each of you do for Steve Jackson?
I have a bunch of hats. The one that's most important today is the Munchkin line editor position. So I'm technically in charge, kind of moving Munchkin projects through the systems and, making sure deadlines are being hit and writing some cards every once in a while, that kind of stuff. All my projects right now are secret projects I can't talk about, but that's awesome. That's my main job title that matters for today and what I kind of do.
Cool. Devin, who are you?
I am one of the Munchkin developers. I do a lot of the writing for most of the sets and expansions, things like that. I'm especially the lead developer on Munchkin Shadowrun.
Hooray! I'm so excited for this. So, yeah. Guys, in case you didn't know, Munchkin Shadowrun is releasing October 16th. Is that right?
I got notification that it's shipping out of our warehouse now, so yeah. I think it's available.
I know it's pre-order now because the pre-order link just launched yesterday. So
okay.
I'll get that pre-order link while I have them answering some questions for you guys. and then you can we'll post that in the chat. But I'm excited to talk to you about everything that goes into developing for Munchkin and the Shadowrun mashup and things like that in your guys' background. But first, we have to get to the news. So another Kickstarter update for Battletech Mercenaries just posted earlier today. So go check that out for all of the most recent information. We're trying to get some regular weekly updates out for you, even if we don't have a lot of news, just so we can say like, hey, no news, good news, right? So that's where you can find all the most recent information for the Kickstarter. New releases. So we've talked several times about how I went through a few episodes ago about all the planned releases for Battletech specifically coming up over the next few months. Now, with the Kickstarter still in fulfillment, that means we just pushed any of our October releases to November. But we still wanted to have some fresh and exciting stuff for you guys, so we moved up some releases as well. So here's the stuff coming for October for you. So Battletech Universe is launching tomorrow. So you'll be able to get that on our website and through retail. Some retailers already have it because the original date was September. Force Manual Davian and the Mercenaries paint set in partnership with the Army Painter is scheduled for release on October 11th. We have for board games, we have Overlords in Training, which is slated for October 16th, just like I think Munchkin. And then for fiction, I have two of these. Let me pull up because they have, I have links for these for you for pre-order. Where did I stick? Oh, here it is. All right, so we have Letter of the Law, which is available for pre-order now. And that's by Phil Lee. Gotta find all my windows here. Goodness. Let's go back to YouTube. So here is the pre-order. And then we have another pre-order. This one is Heavy is the Head. I think this one's also by Phil. And this is dropping on the 11th. So get both of your Battletech fictions in. We have more releases this month and for Shadowrun 2, but we don't have the pre-order links live yet. So stay tuned for that. What else? So then we have on 10/30. So these are the new items that got moved up for you guys. So I'm pretty excited about this. So we've got the technical blueprints, Force Manual Karita. That was not going to come out until next year. Battlefield Support Deck Revised is launching on the 30th. And we're really excited for this one. The Field Commander's Case. So this is the really nice camo carrying case for your minis. So that's launching the 30th as well. So we're so excited. Can't wait for that. So we do also, in conjunction with that, if you want more news of what's coming and be able to see some of the stuff that is coming and the stuff that is most recently released, you can go to catalystgamelabs.com, and I'm going to put this link in the chat as well. Even though it's so easy, if you scroll to the bottom of the page where the About info is, you'll see that you can sign up for our newsletter, and we have a new one going out today or tomorrow as soon as we get the final edits in. So if you want to see all the cool stuff that's coming, feel free to join our mailing list. Awesome. All right, then what else do we have? Kickstarter updates. So we've got Voltron is launching this month. It's supposed to launch on the 8th, but we were waiting on a couple more approvals from NBC, and who's our partner and the license holder. So we're waiting on them. So it's going to still be in October, but it may get pushed past the 8th a bit. But you can follow that link as well. Oh my gosh, I have so many links for you today. Copy and paste. Then we've got, we talked about this last week, but also we had Jordan on last week. So I've got two more Kickstarters to talk to you about. So Sea of Legends is Jordan Weissman's new Kickstarter. So it's a pirate-themed card role-playing game deck builder thing. But it's also pretty fun because all the decisions that you make in game and all of your actions are going to have different factions react differently to you. So the replayability is pretty intense because how you react, if you help the Spanish first, then who is that going to make mad? And so you can constantly replay the game. So Sea of Legends is launching on Kickstarter next week on the 8th. Here is the link for that. Boop. And finally, I was hoping to have him on today, but he's moved to next week. So Kevin J. Anderson, who is a prolific sci-fi and fantasy writer, he's written for Star Wars, Twilight Zone, all the Dune books after Herbert passed away. He's consulted on the script for the Dune movies. Like, he's done a ton. So he has a series that's called Dan Shamble Zombie PI, and he promotes this one on Kickstarter. The next book is coming out. He's also going to have a jigsaw puzzle, a new book set for it, and he partnered with Catalyst on a brand new card game that's called Storybook Battles. And how this is going to work, it's going to be pretty fun. It's a 12 versus 12. So you've got Dan Shamble's team versus their bad guys. But what's going to be really cool is as we release future versions of this game, like let's say that there's a D&D skin that happens someday, then one of the things you could do is have the Dan Shamble team fight the bad guys like dragons and liches and stuff like that from D&D. So you can take them and cross worlds as you play this game, which is pretty fun. So let me get that. Did I already put that in chat? I don't remember. 1, 2, and nope. So this one is Dan Shamble. And it's comedic, it's punny. It's this book is called Horn Dogs. So there you go, guys. Said on the internet. Awesome. All right.
So you almost had a stream about puns and silly jokes and a game that you could mix any and every theme possible on, but you had us instead to talk about Munchkin.
So different. I'm really grateful though. So Kevin had to bail on me like today and reschedule to next week. So I was like, oh gosh, what else is coming out that I could talk about? So I'm emailing my marketing contact at Steve Jackson, like, can we talk about Munchkin? And these guys made it happen. So thank you guys so much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to switch over to talking to you guys. So I guess the first thing, like, we haven't gotten to really meet and talk much, so I want to get to know you just like our viewers do. So how did you first both get into game development in general, even before Steve Jackson, if there was a before?
Well, Steve Jackson was my first job in the games industry almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
I just applied randomly for a job they had. They had an art director job opening, and I was working in radio at the time. And unbeknownst to me, they also wanted to start a podcast, which didn't last a super long time, but we did make a podcast for a while. And so my first job there was art director in 2006. And then I just play tested a bunch, and they eventually wanted help playtesting and developing games and that kind of stuff. And I just moved over without leaving my original job. I just kept getting more and more hats. So eventually I was doing about 4 jobs or 6 jobs at SJ Games.
Oh wow.
And then
I mean, that's
left
what we all end up doing, right? In the industry. It's
Then I left for a little while to work at Privateer Press, working on War Machine and Monster Apocalypse and Level 7 and some other games. And then a couple years ago, I came back to work on Munchkin and Car Wars and other stuff.
Cool. Awesome. And how about you, Devin? How did you first start?
So my history is just SJ Games, but about 2009, I answered a Craigslist ad looking for people who liked card games, and they were looking for playtesters for Munchkin.
Wow.
And I did that. You know, it was just come in every couple of Thursdays and play some games. They usually had chicken nuggets, and it was good enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
And that was where I met Will. And then fast forward to 2013, I had lost my job on a Friday, And I messaged the person running everything at the time, Andrew Hackard, said that I had just lost my job, but good news, I can start going to playtests again. And he's like, I'm very sorry to hear that. You should check our jobs page, because about 2 days before that, the previous Munchkin hireling had moved to the IT department and Andrew needed an assistant.
Yeah.
And so I interviewed, came in as his assistant, and helped him out. Wrote a couple of bookmarks and promo cards here and there, and
Wow.
then wound up making Munchkin sets.
Wow. That's really fun. I mean, I feel like similar people say a lot of times that Settlers of Catan is like the gateway into indie gaming, but I feel like Munchkin's also one of those, you know, like if you haven't played anything beyond Monopoly and Risk and some of the classics, Munchkin's such an easier barrier for entry where you're like, oh, this is fun and gets so much deeper than we thought it did.
Yeah. Settlers is also part of my backstory into Munchkin.
Oh?
I was hanging out at a game store in late 2001, early 2002. I can't remember when exactly. But some people I casually knew were looking for an extra player for a game. And I was like, I'll play anything once, whatever. So I sat down to play Catan with them. And then after we finished that game, it was still a couple hours before the game store closed and they weren't going to leave. And they were like, oh, I just bought this other brand new thing, this card game, this like dungeon card game thing. I don't know anything about it, but we could try that. And then they pulled out Munchkin and we played that. And so the very first time I played Munchkin was literally right after a game of Catan. And I enjoyed Munchkin a little bit better than that game of Catan.
It's well, and one of the things that I'm really grateful for Munchkin's existence for too is it's not only a gateway game into gaming in general, it's a gateway into D&D. You don't have to play D&D to get it.
Yeah.
But like you can see what it's making fun of, and you see like there are a million inside jokes you might not get, but it doesn't change that you're going to have a good time playing it. So I really appreciate that. Okay, so you guys started with deving for Steve Jackson. So gosh, what's it like? How do you keep, this is a question for both of you, I guess. How do you keep Munchkin fresh after all these years with all the different editions, with new card packs being added and stuff like that? Like what keeps it fresh and invigorating for you guys?
It is mostly comedy writing, right? It's got rules. It's got card balance and that kind of stuff. But the thing that you have to do when you're coming up with a new set is you have to kind of find some twist to the humor, especially if it's a core Munchkin set, right?
Mm-hmm.
Evan and I recently wrote some animal themed sets, like I did turtles and goats and something else, and he did squids and some other things. And with that, you're just like, how many ridiculously bad jokes can I come up with that are all loosely tied to this theme? But then I write, I've written some 40K expansions. And Devin, of course, has written Shadowrun now. And with those, you're trying to give the people who are already fans of that setting a way to share their love for it with people who are never going to sit down and play the crunchier version of the setting, right?
They're
So
lost, but yeah.
you probably have as a Shadowrun fan, gaming friends that are like, I don't play role-playing games, or I'm really bad at math or whatever. So they're scared of jumping full on into Shadowrun. But if you're like, here's a silly card game that has a bunch of the references that you'll feel more comfortable with once you play it, and maybe I can lure you into like, you know, a gentle RPG session of Shadowrun after we play some, and get you, you know, familiar with the concepts and jokes and ideas that are in the card game.
Fall in love with the world, the setting, the lore. You know, if you like the idea of I just had Munchkin on my table when I was at Universal and Alliance trade shows. So I haven't gotten to play the game yet, but like looking through some of the art and stuff where you've got an orc bouncer outside of a nightclub, and you're like, okay, I can kind of see how like we're taking the Lord of the Rings into our world kind of thing. And so people starting to get into that where it's like, cool, what would that be like? that gateway again into something new is really exciting. So thank you guys. How about you, Devin? How do you keep inspired to keep? By the way, we can never be friends. I hate dad jokes and puns and everything. So I'm sorry, we're just not going to be close. But but what keeps it fresh for you?
So anytime I have a chance, I try and put in a new mechanic or something different. Like I pitched the idea that became Munchkin side quests, and for Munchkin Shadowrun, I got to add an entirely new win condition. So anytime I can do that, it really keeps things going for me. But honestly, just the idea that I can find a subject and make the worst pun I could possibly think of really makes me happy. Sorry.
It's epic. And the thing is, puns just don't stick if you don't have people like me that just, it causes psychic damage, right? Like that's
someone needs to groan at the table for the joke to really land. And I got the joy of showing off Shadowrun at Gen Con last year, so a little over a year ago, and it was just the playtest set. So it was just, blank white cards with text on them, but the session had an IT person in it, and all the silly hacking jokes were just driving this person crazy. And it was a group of friends mostly. I think it was at least 4 people who knew each other, maybe all 6 of them did. And all the other people loved rubbing the terrible IT jokes in with their IT professional friends. So it was a very like happy, laughing game. And part of that joy and jokiness just came from everybody enjoying the reactions and poking the bear with the friend who hates it when computers are represented in any kind of sci-fi fantasy thing, because it's never any way realistic.
Yeah. Well, so talking about computers and talking about a new win condition, there is a twist that makes this edition of Munchkin a little different. So Devin, can you talk a little bit about the Matrix?
So because the Matrix is such an integral part of Shadowrun, I had to bring it into Munchkin somehow. This is actually the second version of the Matrix track that I came up with. The first Matrix was overly complex and definitely didn't work.
So Shadowrun.
Yeah. But no, I wanted to bring hacking into the game, so I thought about, okay, what are some of the things you can do in Munchkin? What would actually work? And so I added just a handful of cards. So you set up 7 cards. They are mostly randomized. They're separated into different layers. In my deep research and previous love of Shadowrun, because it was already there. I was reading about the deep matrix and a bunch of the different spots. So I was like, okay, let's just separate this into layers. And I have that set up so that you can advance along the matrix track by doing the action on the matrix cards. And these are different locations in the matrix. A lot of them are IT puns, basically, or jokes. My favorite one is the BBS server, the BBS, and it says discard a card and tell the rest of the players about your first experience on the internet.
Oh,
yeah.
I like that. And we've all got a dumb story about that. Like, even if it wasn't our very first time, right? Like AOL screen names, and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I like that a lot. I'm trying to pull up an image right now as I'm listening to you guys talk, so people can see the cover image too. So
yeah. But ultimately, I wanted the Matrix track to be a worthwhile activity, something people actually want to do.
Yeah.
And so you actually get a bonus to your combat strength based on what layer you're in, and there are 4 layers, so +1, 2, 3, and 4. But also there's a reason to do the matrix track, because if you get to the very end, the central server, the action on it says flip this over, and you have to fight the Grid Overwatch division.
Ooh,
They are
no.
they are level 20, but if you can beat them, you win the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Oh, that's scary. That's one of those threats of I've never had a game that actually had Grid Overwatch Division activated or engaged, but it's such a threat that it's like it's the boogeyman almost. So oh, that's so cool.
They certainly kill you if you fail to beat them.
Whew.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned, Devin, that you guys just did a playthrough of the game on your channel, and you're gonna send me a link that I can share of that as well.
Should be in your email.
Oh, great, super! So I'll find that and drop it in chat too, and I'm also getting the pre-order link as we're talking. So tell us a little bit about like, how did this all come to be? How did Steve Jackson approach Catalyst about a partnership, vice versa? How did this happen?
We've got other partnerships with like Pathfinder and, like I said, Games Workshop and stuff. And we're always looking for more partnerships that we can form, because one of the most interesting things about Munchkin is that all Munchkin works with all Munchkin.
Yeah.
So if you've learned a game of Munchkin, you don't have to necessarily learn it 100% fresh when you play Shadowrun. And if you do love mixing and matching weird concepts in your games, then you can play Shadowrun cards with other cards. And so we always want to spread things out. And we've got, sci-fi and fantasy and cowboys and Cthulhu and all kinds of other themes. But digging deeper into a sub-theme, especially in an existing branded universe that has lots and lots of backstory and stuff, it's a lot of fun and enriching for the fans of that thing to get to experience it in Munchkin. And it gives us plenty of stuff to work with when we're making something new and interesting.
Yeah. Awesome. So getting to do these kinds of partnerships and stuff, what process, Devin, were you already a fan of Shadowrun, or did you have to do your homework to be able to pull this off?
Oh, I mean, I hadn't seen a whole lot of Sixth World, so I definitely wanted to go through those and check and see, exactly what's going on. But amusingly, my first Shadowrun was on the Sega Genesis, the video game.
Yay!
And I was a big fan of that, and so I followed it over time. I started role playing in college with Dungeons and Dragons, but I started looking at other things, and I basically would go to location half price books in town, and I would grab whatever editions of RPGs I could find, and there were always a couple of Shadowrun books in there. A lot of GURPS books too.
Yeah.
But and so I would read through them. I never actually wound up getting a group together, so I would look for any opportunity to play Shadowrun stuff that I could. And when they did the revival of the video game series, I definitely grabbed those. Though it was always pretty funny because in the first game, they on the crowdfunding, one of the levels lets you get put into the game, and certain Steve Jackson did that level, so he's one of the first bosses that you fight in the game.
Awesome. I love that.
But so I played through all of those.
Cool. So what are some of your personal favorite jokes or puns? I'll let you torture me here. So within the Shadowrun Munchkin game, what are some of your favorite highlights that stick out to you?
Oh, let's see. Getting to play around in that world, and so I have an IT background myself. Before that job that I got fired from that led me to Steve Jackson Games was phone tech support for a web host, which I was not sad to lose, honestly. But making the IT jokes was real fun. Let's see some specific ones.
I feel like the IT crowd references of "Did you turn it off and back on again?" probably makes it in there, right?
If I could have, I would have.
Yeah. Well, and there's always the future, right? Like
Oh yes.
this is a core set. There's
Hmm.
nothing that says we won't put out a couple of expansions for it.
Did
Um,
Yeah, I think at Alliance I saw a little card box that looked like it was an expansion of some sort.
yeah,
Uh,
the very first Hack the Future expansion is in the works already. We didn't want to like release it right along with like the core set. We want to give them a little bit of time apart. But yeah, there is one expansion that's already in the pipeline for being previewable at shows and stuff like that.
cool. Okay.
Um,
So
one of
oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Devin.
one of my favorite jokes is one of the traps. It's called really wet work. Um, it's uh, a lot of the fun I can have on this set because I want to actually at least a little bit respect the IP. Um, is getting the really funny art that Lara D'Souza
Yeah.
just knocked out of the park, and so like this one, has somebody being nauseous into a trash can with all
Yeah.
all the blood everywhere. So
Yeah, the titles aren't always terrible puns. Sometimes the titles are completely, normal statements, and the art is where the joke is. Like the EMP grenade is a grenade with a light switch on it.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's an EMP grenade, and that's nothing is funny about the title of that card, but it turns out the lights literally. So we put the joke in the art, and so we do a lot of that, like little things, and a lot of the weapons and stuff are mostly just straight ported in the game. Like Lar did a really good job of drawing the guns so that they look like Shadowrun guns. And often it's just a Munchkin cartoon character holding a gun that looks a little bit less cartoony than the rest of the piece of art, just to reflect
Mm.
that weapon and its name and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, even the cover of the box being comedic, where you've got the sea dragon, just like sixth
Yeah,
edition's cover in
yeah,
front of Seattle, but he's picking his teeth with the
yep.
the tower. Like it's
Mhm.
just clever and fun and playful and that's awesome. Now I did see for opportunities to play Munchkin and try it out, Shadowrun Munchkin, I did see that at Gamehole Con there's going to be some demos of the game that people can sign up for. What other events do you guys go to where people get a chance to play?
Well, we have a booth at a lot of major events, and then we have demos at lots and lots of smaller cons.
Hmm.
Mhm.
There, I just had a con in town here in Kansas City where I live this last weekend, and there was a Munchkin thing there. It wasn't Shadowrun specific, but it was a Munchkin event at that little con that was being
Cool.
run by someone who wasn't me. Um, so yeah, we're at a lot of shows, even if the company doesn't show up with a booth and sell product.
Cool.
And so there should be lots of opportunities in the next 6 months to find a copy of Munchkin Shadowrun being demoed at a convention or a store near you.
Awesome. All right. So what haven't we covered? What would you like people to know about Shadowrun Munchkin that people don't know yet?
So uh some of the let's say jokes that about Shadowrun is that you can get pretty powerful as characters. And I wanted to bring that across in this. And so I've added vehicles and powers, which are things that exist in other Munchkin sets.
Yeah.
But each one alone tends to ramp the power level of players up. Both of them in this set means everybody is pretty strong. But
Cool.
what I found so far is uh, everybody always has a really great time, and the games are actually really close. So, um, some games of Munchkin can get kind of out of hand with like one player at level 9 and everybody else is at 2 or 3 just because of how things have gone or how vicious the infighting has gotten. Almost every game I have run of this, like everybody has been level 8, 9, like grouped together.
Oh, cool.
And so nobody feels like they're being left behind or they don't have any chances of winning, anything like that. Um, And so I've been very happy with how it's played, and
Where
everybody enjoys it.
where
So
do you go if you have questions about the lore along the way? Do you talk to the developers of Shadowrun? Do you go to the wiki? Where do you go?
I definitely spent some time on the wiki, but I was corresponding with Jason, I think,
Okay,
anytime I
yeah.
had a problem or question, and was always very responsive.
Awesome.
It was actually quite a pleasure to work with you folks at Catalyst.
Oh, good. I'm
So,
so glad. Yeah, we've got RJ as our line developer for Shadowrun now,
mhm.
and he's in the chat. Jason is now the head of the RPG division. So,
Nice.
um,
Yeah.
neat. Okay, so you do reach out and collaborate as needed. It's been really great partnering with you guys in terms of marketing and reviewing the press release, getting the language right on like some of the hacking language or the
Hmm.
in-world chummer, oh my, things like
Mhm.
Yeah.
that language around. So that's cool. Um, anything else you guys want to say that I missed?
I want to also bring up that there's lots of other little references in there.
Ooh,
Every single one of the weapons and a lot of the other cards have a manufacturer logo on them. So as technology and Ares and like all of those things are also represented in the game.
cool.
And they interact in different ways. Like you might have a card that gives you bonuses to as technology cards, or a
Oh,
monster that won't let you use your Ares weapons against them and that kind of stuff. So
neat. I like
it
that.
if you know more than just casual Shadowrun knowledge, some of that is down in there too.
I like that. Kind of like if you get something that's for all as technology bonuses or something like that, like you become a corporate shill, and that's neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we've got some questions from the chat that I'm gonna head on over to here. So let me open up my. Thank you to our lovely moderators for collecting these for us. And please, if you have other questions for our guests or for me or about anything Catalyst, feel free to drop them in chat. All right, for our guests, what is the most egregious example of cheating that you've ever seen in a game of Munchkin? This is from Lorcan Nagel.
Well, you have to declare what cheating is, because there's cheating and then there's cheating. Um, Technically, since the rules say that the owner of the game gets final say, it's not cheating if you own the game and you declare anything to be legal. My favorite story, I was at a PAX West years ago, and I just saw a game being played in the wild, and there was an instance where players had to roll off, and the player with the highest roll won something. So everybody rolled a single die, and then the owner of the game put the box lid on the table and dropped their die on top of the box lid and declared that since their die was higher off the table than everybody else's, it was the highest roll, so they won. And by the rules as written, completely legal move.
That's
100%.
so Munchkin.
Yep. So that, like, it's not cheating if you can bend the rules. And we sometimes purposely write the cards so that you could think of alternate interpretations
Mm.
for, now, not all the, like, not like a weapon that's a +2 bonus, but like a card that lets you do something rules bendy. Often if you think about it, there might be another way to read that card that is arguably a legal way to play it. So yeah.
Uh, that's a good story. Do you have one, Devin?
Um, I not one quite as good as that, but there, the one that gets pointed out to me the most often is um, Steve not quite following the rules on tabletop when he played it with Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
You can see a card that's not quite legal.
That's funny. Oh, that's funny.
Mhm.
Oh, I like that. All right, another question from Ozzy Sturm. Could there be a Munchkin BattleTech crossover?
There could be, you know. We don't generally talk about unannounced products and products that are amorphous, right? Because, like, if I start speculating on things, that might come true someday or it might never come true, and someone might hear, oh, they're doing this because, telephone wise, 17 different people shared a rumor that like we just happened to mention Munchkin and battletech in this stream, and now suddenly, somewhere on the internet, that's a product that's already made and you could buy it in a store. So anything is possible. There are brands that lend themselves easier to Munchkin, like I was talking about earlier. If something has years and years and years and years and years of history and a lot of details, like Devin wrote this set, but as I watched it come together, it was really obvious that Shadowrun was a good setting for this because there are so many gangs and so many other factions and that kind of stuff that it's really easy to just grab a bunch of details
There's
and
so
be like,
much.
oh, I have all the monsters I need because there's all these things that exist in the setting. And it works. It's often easier to translate an RPG right into it because there's lots of monster books and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we've done Warhammer 40K and Age of Sigmar, like we've done other things, so anything is possible on a long enough timeline. But that's all licensing conversations and
I
schedules
really wanted
and
to make the
all
joke where
that
I
kind of
took
stuff.
us offline for a moment and said we don't talk about that IP here on this channel. I was tempted. I had that JD Scrubs moment where I'm like, oh, I could lean into this joke, but
Yeah.
that's awesome. So a
Um,
follow-up question from Ozzy Sturm as well is if there was one setting or IP or anything that you would love to do personally love to do a Munchkin collab on, what would it be?
I'll let Devin go first.
so for me, this one's kind of heartbreaking because it's almost happened at least once. Would be Discworld. I am the biggest Terry Pratchett fan. And yeah, we almost got it made because we'd worked with the estate with GURPS Discworld. And so we were in talks. It just never came together for us. But that would definitely be one I would absolutely love to do.
Cool. How about you, Will?
Yeah, Devin stole my main one. Like I'm a big Discworld fan too, but I think it would be fun, even if it's a thing I don't personally love. I think it'd be fun to play around in any setting that has a big enough dedicated fan base, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
I was
or
thinking Buffy.
anything that has a variety of good guys, because you need something to see. Like in this set, we have metahuman types, right? Dwarf, orc, troll exists in this. And some of these are from other games. Like we have dwarves and elves and stuff in normal Munchkin,
Yeah.
but we don't have trolls. So that's a new thing that's in Shadowrun. And then instead of doing classes or something like that, we decided to go with powers because then you can mix a little bit of hacking and a little bit of magic and
Cool.
be a little bit more like that Shadowrun experience and not just be, okay, I'm this kind of character. You can be a little bit more of a variety of character types in that. So to make it easy to make a Munchkin set, you kind of need a lot of that. So like an ongoing TV series where there's lots of heroes or villains or whatever, and if the heroes, interact in different ways. Like we did a Batman set, but in the Batman set, you're playing as the bad guys. You're playing as Joker or Harley or Mr. Freeze,
gotcha.
that kind of stuff. So anything that has enough content for the players to have a lot of cards that interact with on their side with making themselves powerful and stuff.
Cool.
Is a good thing. So we could do anything and everything as long as it's big enough. But then it comes down to the licensing and stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Like Lord of the Rings would be great. But also like Super Mario, like almost anything would be really fun as a game developer to get to try to put the square shaped pegs in the triangle shaped holes of this, whatever the brand is, and the Munchkin rules to try and find that sweet spot that lets the fans of both love a thing and have something unique like the Matrix
Cool.
that's in here or whatever is always the fun part of making a game.
Awesome.
I do got to say, one of the unexpected hurdles that we've run into is having enough items.
Yeah.
To fill the treasure deck can sometimes be a challenge.
Yep.
That's fair. I can imagine that's a lot of things.
Yeah, if you take like Avatar: The Last Airbender, you could have like forms and powers and fireballs and stuff, but there's not a lot of magic swords and that kind
Right.
of stuff in that setting. But there's enough that you could squeeze it out, but it's easier when you're interacting with something like Shadowrun or Pathfinder.
Right.
It's an RPG that literally has a bunch of treasure in it already. You just port that stuff right over.
Cool. Okay. One of our mods, Anejo Dave, asks if we want to invite Steve Jackson Games to come do demos at our cons, how do we reach out?
We have a couple of different ways to do that. I don't know what they are off the top of my head.
Um,
Email.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Info at stevejacksongames.com.
That
That
is
will
the
get you-
easiest. That's the easiest way to contact the company, and then that filters through the person who answers those emails into who needs
Cool.
to see it.
Okay. And then another question from Ozzy Sturm. Any plans to produce any more content for Steampunk Munchkin?
Like I said earlier, we don't talk about unannounced things. Anything and
Oh.
everything is possible.
Gotcha.
But if we haven't talked about it publicly in a marketing ways, Steve, when he goes to cons, he sometimes does a what's coming panel, and sometimes he has stuff super early compared to when we would actually start marketing it.
Okay.
So it's possible that you will find out about stuff a year or two before it's ever in
So
stores,
ask Steve
depending on
is-
cons. Yeah. So if you ever see Steve at a show, see if he has a what's new panel or what's
Cool.
coming panel or something like that. Or if he's got, sometimes he'll be at a show and he'll have a playtest set of a game in development that he's doing, like either scheduled playtests for or impromptu playtests.
Ooh.
So if you see any of us at a show ever, just ask if we're playtesting anything at
Cool.
the show, because sometimes we are and sometimes we're not. It just
I
depends.
feel like it's the groupie mentality, and we all do it at the cons where it's like, "Hi, are you guys playtesting? Can we be friends?" That's...
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you
Awesome.
don't interrupt someone's dinner or follow them into a bathroom or whatever, then it's cool. Yeah.
Awesome. A couple of questions for me for Catalyst. Battletech questions. Bear asks, are those release dates US and Canada or only or worldwide? I assume you mean the ones I did at the beginning of the show. So that's the Fiction, Universe, Davian, Paint Set, Overlords, Blueprints, Karita, everything. That's worldwide. So there's one release date that we communicate with our warehouse. Sigma Lance Hanger asks, when is McCarran's Armored Cavalry Force pack being released? It's supposed to be in October 2. It is on BNN exclusive first for 6 months. But I haven't heard officially if like that's been pushed or it's still on track or anything like that. So the last I heard that it is for October for BNN. Kevin Sheary asks, what is the status of Leviathans? We are due for a backer update. I will say that we're probably going to be a week or two delayed because Bryn and Randall are in Germany for Essen and then going down to PAX Australia. So they might be a little behind on getting the newest backer update. But last I heard, we're still on track for the end of the year. So we'll get that as soon as we can for you.
That's the one I'm most excited about too, by the way.
Yeah, we were
everybody in
talking
the
about
chat.
that in the pre-show
Yeah,
that you're
I want to drag back out all my old classic Leviathans things and push some flying boats around and make pew pew sounds.
awesome. And then other questions. Let's see. Any JOK asks, any updates at all about shipping costs for international orders in the CGL web store? I gave an update a couple of weeks ago, I think, but I know it's hard to keep track if you don't watch every single episode. So the update is, first of all, we are getting a new website within the next 6 months or so. Like we're working with a company right now on getting all the like plans for it that we want and all the approvals for all the pages and everything. And that new website is supposed to allow more functionality for customization of shipping costs and stuff. But also we are still pursuing conversations with hubs and distributors internationally, but no contracts have been signed. So there's no real news. I think, I'm not sure where the process is. I know that anytime I ask about it, it's, we're still having conversations, but that's been a lot slower than any of us would like, for sure. But there are potentially two separate solutions coming in time for that. Turbo Turtle asks, when are we getting around to cloning Randall? Listen, I think we're all very excited. The world tour, the Battletech Reunification World Tour has been wonderful for, like, there's no regrets. It's all been positives. Playing with the community, Randall's been super inspired by the people that, like, come from all over just to play a game with him. He was just in... Well, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about that yet, so I won't. But he's been having a blast with it. The hard part is he's already a very busy guy for us, and so doing all of his work plus the travel that he's done this year has been rough. So I think he's loving it, but I think after this year he's gonna be excited to be home with his family for a bit and catching up on work as well. So.
That happens to all of us in the industry, by the way. Anybody who doesn't know, most of these companies are tiny companies with handfuls of employees. So when you see someone at a convention, they're not at home doing their regular job.
Yeah.
They're moonlighting as a marketing person at a convention to interact with the fans and have fun. But that means some tasks that they're normally supposed to be doing for that week, especially if it's Gen Con or something, is just not happening.
I know. I just got back from 3 weeks on the road, which it's so hard. Like in the airport, sometimes you can get some work done for an hour here and there, but it's definitely hard. So it's when I'm home, I'm catching up on the stuff that I've missed and trying to get ahead, but that rarely happens. So then I immediately go on travel and get behind again. The only reason we don't have Tuesday Newsdays is when I'm traveling. So that's an example. So good shout out, because it happens to all of us. Awesome. So I think that's all of our questions. We still have 8 minutes if anyone else wants to drop anything in chat. Happy to I'm doing a last minute scroll here. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining us. Anything else, I guess, for Steve Jackson games in general? It doesn't have to be Shadowrun Munchkin that you want to promote or talk about.
Car Wars just got a brand new starter, the orange purple starter. It's a little bit reformatted. It's the same 6th edition. We just took some stuff out to make the MSRP a little bit lower and make manufacturing a little bit easier. But those are in stores now. So
Cool.
If you want to drive around cars with lasers and stuff on them, you can find
who
that.
doesn't want that?
Yeah. I mean, if you're taking a break from stomping around in a giant robot with lasers and stuff on it, get in a car with lasers and stuff on it and driving around.
Awesome. Yeah. Something I did see in the chat, we got a question on record sheets. I'm not sure on any of like publishable material, but I do have an update on the MUL. At the beginning of September, mid-September, I was supposed to have some guests on to talk about the master unit list. And one of our team members had pneumonia and is still trying to fight off that cough and everything. The other, I do want to give a little bit of a comment on, this past Wednesday, Jeffrey D. Gordon, who was the other half of our team working on that, passed away from his battle with cancer. Of course he honestly, one of the things Ray said to me was he gave so much of the little time that he had left to the MUL and to Catalyst, instead of his family. So he spent so much time on this and it was really close to his heart. I got to meet him at Chupacabra Con and he was just so excited about the work he was doing. So unfortunately, we're going to be delayed as we take our time to reassess where we are. But I do also want to say a thank you to Tex and Black Pants Legion for their release that happened on Saturday. They had a new video release. There were over 4,000 people in chat by the end of it. And I think the last count I saw was that they've raised over $18,000 towards the American Cancer Society. So Catalyst donated in honor of Jeff, and we just want to say thank you. The timing was wild on how much that would mean to us. So thanks to the Black Pants Legion for what you guys do and how you raise money for these causes. So well, now that I've made everything sad,
Yeah.
go play a comedy game. Get your pre-order
Yeah.
link. The link is in chat for and I'll put it again for the Munchkin pre-order link as I'm scrolling through here to try to find it. But thank you guys for coming on so last minute and chatting with me too.
No problem. Anytime we have some product to talk about that crosses that line with you guys, then sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you next week here on Tuesday Newsday.